What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you a spicy concept for Six Samurai. Now, most of you that have seen my previous Six Samurai builds know that I really like to mix the deck with True Kings. Now obviously it's a little less relevant because you can't always get into VFD, and the idea for getting into VFD, or True King of all calamities, was to pretty much protect you from the Biru. I've now been able to add a new engine into the deck alongside the True Kings, so at the moment it is just being a concept to see how it works, but it is very, very explosive when it goes off. I have got some other concepts for other warrior decks such as Gokis, Infernoble Knights. I've also got some updates to Rikas, Marincess, Kraken Control, you name it. So if you want to see more from those decks, or you want to see a test time video or some more from this deck, make sure you hit that like button and get it to above 50 likes in the first 24 hours. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into this very spicy Six Samurai profile. Now, I will, as a disclaimer, say on this deck that I've avoided, or tried to avoid, the basic kind of, okay, cool, we're going to go Dagda, Scythe, let's go. I've also avoided playing the Brave package, but if you do have access to the Brave package, you can easily put this in place of one of the additional packages for the Six Samurais, or in place of just as a general kind of protection. Now, the reason you can do that is because you don't actually rely heavily on Kigeki anymore, purely because the way I see it is it pretty much loses to every type of hand trap. Now, what I mean by that is like Imperm, Veiler, and then from that point on, if you go Ash or Ogre, or even going into a Gamma. So what you kind of want to try and do is you want to try and be able to get multiple ways without conducting your normal summon of getting Six Samurais to the board and then build from there. So, because this is the True King version, we are playing Triple Fuma. Now, the reason we're doing that is because the True Kings, as long as you've got the ability to constantly keep popping, yes, it's a little bit more consistent if we had Diagram at more than more than one. But the idea behind this is that you can pop Fuma a couple of different ways, whether that be with the Wind True King, or whether that be with Diagram itself. By popping Fuma, what that then lets you do is it then lets you special summon from the deck your Kizaru. Now, by special summoning off the Kizaru, it lets you add a 6-star monster that is a different attribute from monsters you control, which is really, really important, because if you already control the True King, it will not be able to add you another Fuma. But the idea is that if you're able to kind of pop Fuma with any of the other True Kings, whether it be Lithosagam, whether it be the Agamazud, or whether it be Brastos, it will then allow you to trigger Fuma, give you the Kizaru. Kizaru can then search out another Fuma. So if you've got multiple True Kings, you can continue to play. Of course, with the other 6 Sams that are just free extenders is the Triple Kizan, the 1 Grandmaster, and the 1 Legendary 6 Secret. So the idea behind these is these are all pretty much, within reason, free summons. So this one is, if you try a 6 Sam monster with a different name, you get to special summon it, so you just can't obviously spam it if you've only got Kizan on the board. The exact same can pretty much be done for Grandmaster, and then the Secret is when you normal or special a 6 Sam, you get to special this from the hand. So that's why we've pretty much only gone with the 1 Kigeki, because it's one of them cards that, again, it's Wind, which is really nice, but you kind of need, like, you need a secondary 6 Sam in hand, and what you really don't want to do, unless you're going to play Almirage, and even then that's a little bit weak, is you don't want to go normal summon, and they go Veiler, and you go, cool, pass turn. Yes, it can be very good if you've got the Secret of the 6, but again, unless you're going to specifically go out your way to search this, because the only way it can be searched is with Reinforcement of the Army, this can be a little bit dead. That is why you could put the Brave package in or Adventure package in if you wanted to, because none of these cards here trigger their effects on normal summon apart from the Kigeki and apart from the Hatsume. So with the Hatsume, 9 times out of 10, because you need a graveyard setup, you're actually going to be special summon it from another different way, or of course you're going to special summon it by popping a Fuma, and you're going to have enough 6 Sands in the graveyard to pretty much trigger her second effect. If you wanted to, it would unlock the ability to get into Herald, but we're going with a different route because of the other engines in the deck. The deck is currently 46 cards. I'm still trying to find ways of cutting down certain aspects, which is why I've only got the 2 Shinai and the 1 Mizuho. You probably should be playing 2 and 2, but I'm trying to keep it at the base minimum right now. So it's trying to get that balance between the other engines and the 6 Sams themselves. So you've still got your plays with your normal 6 Sams. You've then got additional plays by looping these around. Keeping in mind as well, you can add these back from the graveyard with, of course, your gateway. So you're going to be constantly be able to regain your resource. The last 6 Sam card, or partly 6-sound card is the Squire. The only real reason you've got this in here, or we've got this in here, is for the pure fact that this will be able to get you into Nat Beast. If you don't want to play Nat Beast, if you don't have Nat Beast, if you don't want to play this brick, you can take it out quite easily and you start getting the count of the deck down a little bit. The fact that it's so easily searchable or summonable, basically, because you can get it off of Halley Firebrax, and you can special summon it back from the grave with Gateway, it basically means that you could do, if you wanted to, go for Barkion as well. But it's just a monster you can keep bringing back, link off, link off, link off, and go from there. Moving on to, or the part of the other engine, the first one is the Arborea. So the reason we've gone with Arborea is because it's one of the cards that you can actually search off of Isolde and still be able to summon it. The reason you can do that is it's a summoning condition. So if you can just summon this to a zone a link monster points to. It's not an activated effect, which is why it kind of gets past the whole Isolde of you cannot activate this card's effect for the rest of the turn. By doing so, what this gives you instant access to is it does give you instant access to synchro plays if you want to go down that route, and it also gives you instant access plays into your Crystron Halley Firebrax as well. Moving on to the first engine, and this was probably the reason that I put this deck together, is I really, really like the concept of Therions. And I kind of wanted to try and find a way of trying to enhance other decks I already play. And in doing so, what I kind of wanted to do with that is I kind of looked at what attributes these kind of serve the best. Obviously, Machine and Plant are the best option, and then of course you've got Warrior. Now, the Warrior is obviously going to be better for going second, but what it does actually give you is it does give you a free Warrior extender. So as long as you're able to get a Warrior to the graveyard, you can then use Ball to summon itself down, targeting the Warrior, re-equipping it, and then link off and carry to link climb should you need to. It's also another perfect example that in theory, when you've put two monsters together to go into Isolde, you're going to send an equip spell from your deck to the graveyard. That will then summon you out a Warrior. Then off the back of that as well, if you searched out a Bora, you can special summon that down. You've then got the ability to special summon down the Therion Ball. What that means is you can try and go through Crystron Halley Firebrax plays before you go into the general plays, or you can go into general plays and have Crystron Halley Firebrax sitting there ready and waiting to go. Or if you've already got everything you need, once you've successfully searched out your gateway off of the general, you can then get rid of general and the two other cards and go into a free negate Appaloosa. Off the back of that as well, when you've got other cards to get these to the graveyard, that's when you're going to get the ability to pretty much go Therion Ball, target Regulus, and you've got an Omni Negate to protect all your plays going forward. The ways that you get these to the graveyard on a consistent basis is, of course, with the True King engine. Now, like I said, because this is still a concept, I haven't fully finalised the ratio on the Therions. As you see, I've got two Ball, as it is going to be the most consistent one with all of the Warriors running around. I've then got the one Regulus and the one Lily. We've also got the one Endless Argo system, because what that will allow you to do is that gives you consistent access in order to kind of loop your graveyard back with your Therions and make sure you don't deck out under Mystic Mind Burn or anything like that. Of course, you've got the one Agamazud, you've got the one Barastos, and you've got the one Lithosagam. Now, the reason these work so well together, minus the Barastos for the Therion specifically, is you've got a fire in the form of the Bull, which can be used for Agamazud. Keeping in mind that if you've opened up Lily or you've got your King, you're then going to be able to get to the other one and go from there and loop around the Bull in order to get you your negates. You could go for rank 8 if you wanted to, but the idea is that once you've got one, you're pretty much just going to want to protect with the Regulus. Same thing can be said, Lithosagam can send the Regulus, Marraine can send the Lily, and then all you're pretty much going for is you're trying to get to your Disc Colosseum to kind of set yourself up and go from there. You've also got discard effects off the back of the Battle Shogun as well, as it is a discard for cost. By doing so, what that does mean is that if they do stop your Battle Shogun, you still have the ability to kind of come back from that, because if they're going to Imperm or Veiler, your Battle Shogun's still going to be there, which means you can then still go, okay, cool, if I discarded the Lily but I've got Regulus in hand, Regulus can then target the Lily. I can then use Lily's effect under Regulus to send itself, or another card from my hand, it doesn't really matter, send it to the graveyard. That will then let me get the field spell. I'll activate the field spell, search me out a Bull, Bull can then target the Lily, and then straight away I've got two more Warriors on the board that could go into an Isolde route, or if I wanted to, can then help me link climb higher should I need to. As you can see, it is a bit of like the 6 Sams take control or are the main component of the deck. And it's just trying to find some fun and supporting, especially when we're near enough in the off-season, some fun and supporting ways of being able to revitalise some of the old decks I love and enjoy playing. For the field spells, we are playing 4. Now, what I mean by that is we've got 4 separate copies, but we're playing 3 different field spells. So you've got 2 Disc Colosseum, Dragonic Diagram, and Temple. Now, the idea behind this is it does then give you easy access to set rotation and, of course, terraforming, because then terraforming can become any of these. So basically what you're seeing is you're going to say, right, okay, well, I've got 3 copies of Diagram, I've got 3 copies of Temple if I really, really want it, and then I've got the 4 copies of this Colosseum. Now, the idea is that you'd probably want to give your opponent a Disc Colosseum and get yourself a Diagram depending on what your hand is, or, of course, the Temple. The one thing you want to make sure is that you don't give it to an Earth Machine player, or you don't give it to a player that's already got that. On top of that, if you do have the Disc Colosseum, keep in mind as well that that does give you battle protection for your monsters, and it does also let you recycle your graveyard. So if you're able to grind out a game, let's say they Dark Ruler you, which is completely fine. If they don't read Disc Colosseum or they leave Disc Colosseum on the board, when they try and destroy the first monster by battle, you can protect it with the Disc Colosseum, send in a Therion from the deck to the grave. Then, if they were to destroy that monster and go, okay, I'll attack that again then, destroy it, you can then use Disc Colosseum to add that back. That then basically means that if you've got a warrior, you can send a bull. If you've got a machine in the graveyard, you can set that up as well. And you are getting additional machines from your extra deck, which make it a little bit easier to do. Carrying on with the spells, we've got the draw power of the 666 Samurai United. I was considering playing the Therion Recharge, or Therion Charge, sorry, but there wasn't really... I kind of feel that it can be very, very bricky, considering as well, what I mean by bricky, I mean is if you open up the charge but no Therions, it's completely dead. So I wanted to kind of try and minimise that capabilities, because if I don't have the components to discard, it's kind of a dead card, whereas United still puts in a lot of work. Triple Dojo, again, this is really, really good. At the base minimum, just normal summoning a 6 Sam, putting a token on Dojo, you can then get rid of the Dojo to summon out that 6 Sam monster, and then straight away you've got Halley Firebrax plays. And then for those of you that don't know what I mean by that is you take the 1 counter off the Dojo, that can then get you your Fuma, and then your Fuma is obviously a tuner. So if they stop like a Kageki, you're able to play from there. Then of course we've got triple Shien Smoke Signal, so this can be your normal summon of Kageki, it can be your triple Fumas, it can also be your Hatsume as well, so you've got loads and loads of options. Gateway, give me this card back to free. I know it would be stupid, but I still feel that with everything like Ash Blossom, with everything like the Biru, it's not as broken. Yes, you can get an Eternal Loop, but in theory, I believe with the new rules, you have to declare how many times you're going to use the effect, rather than just constantly do it over and over and over and over again. You declare how many times you're going to do it, you stack that many tokens on your Battle Shogun or your Temple, Dojo, whichever, and then you start continuing to make your combos after that. You will eventually run out of space, or you will eventually run out of combo routes, so it's not going to be endless, but there is a way of burning a lot of time through it, which is, you know, pretty disappointing, but it is still such an incredibly powerful card that hasn't done a lot at 1, so it's one of those cards that quite like Change of Heart. I'd like to see what it would do at 3, and if 6 Sam would get a spike from that. We're only playing the 1 equip spell. Now, I know that, again, this is controversial, but I really don't like, unless I'm playing pure 6 Sams, I don't like clogging the deck down with multiple equips, and I don't like the idea of going, okay, cool, Isolde Sender's cost 3, 4, 5, even up to 8 equips, just to get something like a Gearfried, or to get a like a Kizan or anything like that onto the board. So this is basically only going to be used to get you your Squire if you're in absolute danger, or you're mainly going to go for your Fuma and go from there. 1 Rotor, 1 Monster Reborn, pretty standard on both of those. You can cut the Monster Reborn if you want, but again, it's one of them ones where if you're able to set up plays in a bit of a grind game, Monster Reborn can help you. And the last one is Foolish Burial, because not only can this send a warrior from the deck to the graveyard to make your bull live, but it can also send a Therion to the graveyard as well to make your Endless Argo system live, or it can then also set up your Therion field spell as well, and then that can give you a Regulus to protect. That is another reason why the Adventure Engine is pretty good, because the Adventure Engine would give you an additional route to discard. If you wanted to, you could play the Punk Engine, but then you're going down the path of, I'm just going to put meta engines in rather than fun, different and unique engines. Moving on to the extra deck, we've got the double Battle Shogun. Now, obviously, in this particular version, you don't need 3. Once you've made 1 and it's successfully resolved, you should pretty much be seeing the game out from there. If worst case scenario happens and they do negate it, you do then have a second to go back on the next turn. The 1 Isolde, we send as cost, you're not going to get the Divine Phoenix Blade back into the deck. So once you've used Isolde's effect, once you've sent, that's pretty much where you're, like, there's no need to have multiple Isoldes. So 1 is enough. There may be the odd time when a second might come up, but to be totally honest, sticking with 1 is all you're really going to need. For the other Link monsters, I'll go back to the Link one quickly, is the Relinquish Anima. And the reason we've got this is because off of either Isolde or, of course, off of mainly... well, off of Isolde can still do it, but off of Halifibrax, you can summon out Fuma, you can summon out a Shien, you can then turn that into a Anima, and then straight away you can go into a Link 3 of Selene because we play a lot of spells, and then this can give you instant access to an access code talker, or if you're going on the defensive mind and you still have a lot more plays to make, it can give you a 2 negate Appaloosa, which might not be the biggest, but it does protect you from the Biru. The other cards we are playing is, of course, the Crystron Halifibrax and 2 Saruja. Now, the reason you've got to be playing 2 Saruja is for the pure fact that you will go through 2 of them. The first one is set there. Basically, if you've already protected yourself from the Biru, it's going to be one of the ones that's just going to help you dig. The best thing behind this deck is making sure that you can hold back as many of your summoning mechanics as possible before you get to Saruja. So that you either put them in a position where it goes, right, okay, Nibiru me now, or I'm going to get an Omni Negate. And even when I do get Nibiru, I'm going to be able to continue my plays. Or you're going to have to Nibiru me later in the point, and by that point you've left it too late, I've already got my Omni Negate, I'm protected to go. So Saruja, not only can it dig for the Mizuho and the Shunai pieces, but it can also dig you into your Therions, and then your opponent might be like, yeah, cool, I'll let the first Saruja go through, what's the worst going to happen? You're going to draw, you're going to add, and then you go, cool, Regulus, target, Regulus, protect, and then from that point on, everything else you do, you've still got the 3 special summon of Skull Dread, and you've got everything you need. For Synchros, we've got the 1 Nat Beast, and shockingly, we have the 1 Baron de Fleur. Now, the reason we've got the 1 Baron de Fleur is quite simple. If you were to get a Fuma or a Shien Squire on the board, plus any of your True Kings, that gives you a level 10 Synchro of Baron de Fleur. So very early doors, even if you were to conduct your normal summon early, you're then able to get a Baron, which then means you protect everything else going forward. So it's a very, very good early doors protection, particularly for this build because you're playing the True Kings. If you don't have access to Baron, you can swap that out and be less reliant on it. There are cards that you do have flexibilities for, like I haven't put Zeus in this deck, I haven't put many generic rank 4s in this deck, I've only gone with 1, and the only rank 4 I'm playing is the Shadow of the Six. And the reason I've gone with this is it's another way of triggering the Battle Shogun in order to give it more counters, in order to loop round, and then this is a card that you can constantly keep reviving from the graveyard using the counters because it is a Shien monster. Then for the last 2, we've got the 1 rank 3 of the Levianeer, the Sea Dragon. So the idea is that you would have eventually banished particular cards depending on what you've gone through in your combo, like the Shunai and the husband and wife basic combo will end up with banishing cards as well, so you can use the Levianeer to bring it back. If you're not going to be doing that as much, you can of course change this out for a Zeus, and the idea behind a Zeus would be that you either go to Phantom Fortress, enter Blafnir, rip banish a card from your opponent's hand would be the ideal going first scenario. If you're going second, you can banish a card on the field, you can then attack with it. You then go to Zeus. Yes, it will only have 2 materials, but usually what you're going for with that is just to board clear and then hold your presence. Or you hold the Zeus back, as long as they don't have an Omni Negate on board, you're then good to go and clear their board once it puts you in a threatening position. That's pretty much it for the whole deck and the extra deck. It is, like I said, still a concept. It's just something that I thought I would change up a little bit for you guys to kind of see. Like, I really enjoy 6 Sams. I think they can do quite a lot. I still think they have the standard fragilities of the modern day game, and what I mean by that is back in the day when we did have Gateway, it would be that there was no Nibiru, there was no Ash Blossom, it wasn't Imperms or anything like that. I think the most you probably would have been a Veiler. And even then you were still able to do a decent amount. Yes, they got a nice introduction of Battle Shogun ages ago, but it's just one of these decks that I always kind of circle back round to once I've kind of found a concept that I feel can modernise it and slightly update it, which is what I'm experimenting with the Therions. Anyway, before I go, massive shout out to, I believe it's Archangel 4G, I'll get the exact name, Archangel 4G63 for suggesting the Arborea tech. I think it's a really cool kind of tech that I believe it did make popularity in one of the Brave decks that were doing really well, because the idea is that Sangan can search it and then you special summon it. So in a deck like this, because you can get to Isolde, it's just one of them cards you get to add off of Isolde as a nice free addition, and then a free monster to the board that can give you access to Halifibrax should you want it. Or if you wanted to kind of change it up, depending on what other board you've got, you could make more synchros. So you could go into synchro level 7s and set up Fairy Tail Snow plays. You could go into synchro level 6s. I believe you can also get into a synchro level 8 play because you'd put the Grandmaster on the board, and then it's entirely up to you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to see more from this deck, if you want to see test stands, combos, anything like that, smash the like button, get it above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and I'll be more than happy to bring that for you, just to kind of show that you want to see more from this profile. As absolutely always, guys, stay safe, and as always, happy dueling.